So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's up YouTube, Dan here from Several Games, bringing you my top 4 Crusadia deck profile. Now I went to my locals at Cockfosters, so shout out to Tier 0 who run that one. And I managed to get top 4 with pure Crusadias. Now the top 4 were Crusadias, Dracos, Thunder Dragons and Sky Striker. We didn't have enough time to play that top 4 off, but it was still very, very fun, and this deck did really, really well. Out of 5 total games, it ended up winning 4 games. The one loss came to Pendulums, and I'll explain that as I went. So round 1 was Pendulums, I won that one. Round 2 was Thunder Dragons, who I ended up facing again in the top 8 cut. I won that one. Game 3 was against Pendulums, and this guy just knew what he was doing. Like, he's very, very good with that. He's been playing it for ages, and he was just making sure that within his first 4 summons he was getting a Jackal, which kind of just null and void some of my cards. And then from that he was just building a board that I was struggling to break. Round 4, final round of Swiss, was against a really, really weird deck, but it was kind of rogue yet kind of meta as well. And it was Batteryman, Thunder Dragon, Orcust. So we had the control of Orcust and the stun of Thunder Dragons. He then had obviously the OTK potential of Batterymen, and it took quite a lot out of the deck to win that one. And that was quite it was fun, but it was really, really tough, and kind of went from there. Onto the top 8, of course, I faced Thunder Dragons again. Now, wasn't really, it was a very, very good matchup. We went into game 3, and he just overextended and ran straight into a super poly. So yeah, that kind of hurt him quite a bit, but still put his work in. Anyway, I'm going to take you through the profile. I'm going to show you exactly what we've got while we've got it, and it looks sexy as hell with all its max rarity as well. Bar one card, and when we get to that card, I will be addressing Konami. So you play triple Maximus. You pretty much play 3 of all the Crusadias. Maximus is your double battle damage. You then play triple Reclusia. This one, I actually did side it out a couple of times. Probably wasn't the best of choices, but it was one of the ones that you don't need at 3. You just need it at 3 for the sense that it gets the combo going. But this one is, if it's special summoned to a zone, a Link monster points to, or a Crusadia points to, you can tribute a Crusadia monster and pop 1 card on the field. So it did work. I think I used that effect once or twice, which is really, really good. Then triple Draco, this of course revives from the graveyard, and if you choose to do the Guard Dragon combo, this is what you'll need. Triple Arborea, this is your protector in graveyard and a tuner, should you get a bit saucy and want to go into synchro plays. And then the one that never got a rarity bump is triple Leonis. Why, Konami? Explain yourself. Why is this not super? Like, this could have easily been a better super than Afterburners. I mean, come on people. Give me my foil Leonis, even if it's in OTS like 12. So you play triple Leonis. Then coming outside of the Crusaders, we do play triple Phantasme. This card was amazing, put in so much work. It helped me unbrick my hands, and I think once or twice I actually summoned this, and it took me into my Nibiru, and then Nibiru just kind of obviously wins you games without, you know, it's so good, so powerful. It did brick a couple of times as well, the exact same with Nibiru, so while we're talking about that, do main deck triple Nibiru. The only time Nibiru became dead was when I had multiples in my hand, which I could then shuffle back with my Phantasme. Or if the player was smart enough, they wouldn't extend to 4 summons, or they would get the monster negation out. Luckily, the people that I was playing against, they knew Nibiru would come in. Like, sometimes you kind of expect Nibiru, but their board needed to go into that 5th summon. So you'll catch them off once or twice, and then they'll start playing a bit more cautiously, so it does become a little bit dead. But sometimes some decks have to make their 5th summon and hope that you don't have it. So Nibiru put in a lot of work today. And the best thing about Crusadia is you put the token in attack mode pointing with your Equamax pointing to it, so it can't attack, it can't do anything, and then the attack points doesn't matter because you're pretty much gaining that from your Equamax anyway. Then we do play ones of the Kaijus. We do play the 1 Kumongus, 1 Dogoran, 1 Gameciel, and the 1 Jizukuru. The one thing that I will be changing from this deck is I'm going to be taking out the Dogoran, which is a shame because they're all supers, which is really, really nice. And I'm going to be putting in the Radiant because it is a dark, which something I learned as I was going through the game. One thing I regretted not having was a Dracopelia in my extra deck. But then after the tournament, I stopped to think about it. It's a little bit more difficult than that. It's not as straightforward as going, okay, I put the Dracopelio in and everything will be great. It was more situational, that against the Pendulum Magician player that I lost to, he put Vortex and then one Dark Monster, so I was like, cool, I'm not doing anything against that. And then against Thunder Dragons, the guy had played me so many times that he kind of gone, I'm not going to walk into that, and left with a light and a dark. So that's where Raiden comes in, because it is a dark kaiju. You just kaiju them, give them a dark monster, straight away you've got access, if they've already got a dark monster on board, to your Starving Venom. So that's something I'm looking into. I'll definitely be changing it. There's no harm in doing so. You're only losing a 200 attack off your Dogoran, and it's not the end of the world. Moving on to the spells, one thing that I haven't seen being main in this deck is Super Poly. Now, Super Poly actually helped me break so many boards today, plus it lets you extend you in the battle phase as well, and it can also boost up your Ecomax if you Super Poly to a zone it points to. The only downside of this is if you do have to Super Poly your opponent, it does take out your extra monster zone, so you've got to make sure you don't need the Magius Search. Which is both, again, a double-edged sword, because the whole idea is you would go into your Super Poly target, breaking your opponent's board, normal summon your Crusadia, and then you go straight into Regulux, and that's kind of where you bypass the Magius and hope you don't need the Search. Super Poly is just too good of a busted card. Like, your opponent can't respond to it, you're breaking their boards, and like I said, it put in so much work for me today that mainly at 3 was never a question, and it was really, really helpful. Triple Call by the Grave, again, I played 2 Pendulums, these came out, it wasn't that relevant, but very, very good against Thunders, and it does its job. 2 Pot of Desires. Once you've got all the bits in your play in hand, all you're activating Desires for is to either try and bait out an Ash, very rare that it happens, or you're going to go Desires and extend your combos, extend your plays to break your opponent's board and then go in for the kill. So double Desires, no really argument on that, really, really great card to have. Double Instant Fusion. Again, worked wonders when it happened, so Thousand Eyes and Millennium Eyes. Millennium Eyes for a bit of protection, Thousand Eyes to steal, you know, like stealing your opponent's Colossus is always going to be pretty cool. And then you can move off from there. Then for the one-offs, we've got the Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Really, really good card. I actually lost a game because of this, not in a bad way. So against Thunder Dragons, it was quite nice because I played this and then he had to banish stuff to protect them from being destroyed, so it was just a nice little bait out because he only had, I think he only had 4 cards in grave, so we had to banish 3 of those and then couldn't protect them later on. But I actually top decked this against a Pendulum Magician player, whereas if I had top decked an actual Kaiju, I would have been able to play because he had Spheres, Endymion and Vortex, and if I had top decked the Kaiju I would have been able to play around it a bit more. But yeah, it's really, really good card. Dark Carl works as well, and then if it's in the graveyard you can banish it and search it. Finally, for the one-off that isn't a Crusadia card, we play the 1 Reinforcing the Army for your Arborea. Then for the one-offs, we've got Testament, which I used once in this game. Power I used once as well. Revival was the one that I always went to. Now, Testament is really, really good, but I used it on my Regulux, so I only got to draw 2 cards, but still very, very good. And the fact that your opponent can then, you can choose the other effects so your opponent can't respond to your Crusadia effects, which is really, really cool. Used Power once, this was just to protect it against Ash. And then Crusadia Revival, this was the one that I was searching off most times because it's boosting all my monsters by 500. And was the better one going first, technically. Like, if I was going first, I didn't want this. This wasn't going to do a lot for me if I was going first. And then this one wasn't going to do a lot for me either, in a sense. So Revival was the best one, giving me a boost. And going first, you can take these out if you wanted to. And it gives you another option to kind of play around with. So that's it, 40 card main deck. No hand traps. The whole idea is you actually kind of want your opponent to slightly go off if they're not clever, or not that they're not clever, if they're not cautious of Nibiru and they just go off, you can just be like, oh, Brick, haven't got any hand trap, or like, not got any Ashes or Ogres or anything like that, and then let them go ham and then just neutralise their board with your Nibiru. So, really, really good. Moving on to the extra deck, so we'll go down from the Crusadia Link monsters. We've got 2 Ecomax, 2 was more than enough. Once you've made 1, you should be killing the game. If you haven't killed the game, then you go for your second, and that's where he sits. 2 Regulux, again, the exact same thing, you just need it to climb up. And the one change that I made last minute was double Magius. Now, I took a Magius out to basically put in, make sure I had 2 Super Poly targets. Only ever once did I go through both Magiuses in a game and was like, damn, I need my third. So 2 kind of worked out perfectly fine for me. I had no issues and no desire to need the third. Still really, really good card. Playing it free is not the end of the world. It comes down to personal preference. 2 just worked out perfectly for me. 1 Link Kuriboh, used it once. Nightmare Phoenix, never used it. Lambda, never used it. The reason I've chosen this above stuff like Beat Cop and Amphalinkus is because it's a generic Link 2 and it is the most powerful. The only downside is it is a light. So for your super poly targets, you know, Beat Cop might be a little bit better because you can give yourself a dark if they've only got 1 dark. But I don't think I actually went into Lambda today, so didn't really need to. The other ones that I didn't go into, but I do have, is the Mech Knight, Crusadia Abramax, and the Borosword. Never needed to go into either of those, so they can easily come out for anything you want. You can boost up any of your other extra deck cards. Like I said, the one thing that I do want in this deck is the Draconpelio, or the Predaplant Fusion, and possibly the Violet Chimera. Salads are going to be more prominent. It's really down to you. But I never, apart from the Draconpelio, I never really thought, I was like, damn, I really need this card. One thing I didn't even consider when I was playing was worrying about Nibiru. I probably should have done, and like if I was thinking a little bit clearer and smart, I probably would have done, but I was just going off. Like, you can technically, if you've got Crusadia power, make your cards, or make a Link monster unaffected. So if you went all the way up to your Equimax, and your opponent goes, okay, reveal Nibiru, if you chain power, because your card then becomes unaffected and Nibiru doesn't tribute for cost, they can't tribute that card. Which is the same with dinos. If you activate Miscellaneousaurus, they can't tribute your dinos. So if you play around it that way, you can, you know, get away with quite a bit. Then for the 2 super poly targets, of course, I've got the 1 Mud Dragon just for the rogue and any kind of random matchups, and the Starving Venom. Now, Mud Dragon can probably come out to be the Draconpelio, but there are the times when you'd face up against rogue, and actually having something like this is a lot better. So definitely worth keeping in there. And then you've got the 1000 Eyes and the 1 Millennium Eyes, all quite straightforward off of your instant fusion targets. Protection, 1 more aggression, 1 more protection, and you know, it gives you the variety of both. I'm going to quickly show you my side deck as well and explain what choices I had, because the one question that I'll always get asked with Crusadias is, or one of its weaknesses is going first. And I actually had to go first quite a few times today, and it worked out really, really well, purely because once you go through the side deck, you'll see a little bit more clearly. But going first with them is not bad, because if you can ramp up into your Equimax and get a Crusadia there, you've got 1 negate on board. Then if you're setting your stuff like Super Poly, you have 2 very, very powerful interruptions that can really, really stun your opponent. Not to mention that you could have technically a Thanos and of course a Nibiru in hand as well that's going to stun them a little bit more. But for the side deck, just to make going first a little bit easier, I did play Imperial Order, that I never saw. Double, there can only be a 1. That the only time I saw it was off of a Thanos Dragon while I had a Super Poly set, so I actually used it as sacrificial fodder. But this one's really, really good. You have to be careful when doing it, because your Maximus and your Equimax are Scyther, so they can clash, and so can your Leonus and your Regalux. So you've got to be very, very careful with what you're using. One other thing that was missing from the edge deck is the, I always get this one, like the Spearna, the Crusadia Spearna, the one that moves 1 zone across. That is only, in my opinion, needed if you're going to be playing the Guard Dragon combos. And I'm not putting the Guard Dragons in because I actually quite like this variant a little bit better. I don't want to rely on the Guard Dragon combo to do it. That might change in the future. I am just not a personal fan of the Guard Dragons as they sit right now. And I think that so many people are used to it, they know when to interrupt it and when to cause it issues. So that's definitely a side engine that you can put in for going first. But I've kind of, you know, they serve me well. The normal boards serve me quite well. Another card for going second is Dark Ruler No More. You kind of just block your opponent's board and then clear them off. So Thunder Dragons that are going to stop you searching. You go with that, get the field spell, do what you need to do, and then just clear them all off with the field spell. 2 Twin Twisters. Luckily I didn't play any Strikers today, but then of course you've got Strikers, you've got Guru Control, and you also have like Pendulum Magicians to take out their scales as well. Another card that I tried out today was Triple Dimension Shifter. Now, the only time I saw this was when I went first. I had no cards in my grave, set a card, passed my opponent during the end phase, dropped this, and then it meant that it would only affect my opponent's turn and not my turn, which is kind of good. They didn't even need to worry about it, to be fair. So they were playing Orcust, but then they just went like full-on Batteryman Turbo, and like kind of bypassed Shifter, so he wasn't even that relevant. It's also good against Strikers, which I was expecting to play but didn't see any of. and also against pendulums as well, because it will get their scale, not their scales, but any cards that they're using to link up, or pendulums, like anything that they use to extend gets banished as well, so they lose resources. Finally, again, triple red reboot for crescendos and any kind of heavy back row decks that I was going to be facing. Didn't put red reboots in at all today, didn't need them. Dimension Shifter I put in once or twice, Twin Twisters once or twice. Dark Ruler No More was the one that went in more times than not, and so did There Can Only Be One. So they were the ones that were used a bit more frequently. None of them really did a massive match winning or a massive match changer. So this is definitely something I can look into, but you base your side deck off of what you're facing and what you actually need. So that's where the Guard Dragons can come in should you wish to go that route. So that is it. That is it for the deck profile. I actually thoroughly enjoyed playing this today. A lot of fun, a lot of power. Sorry, it's not Psychic, it's Psychic. So ignore what I said about that. I always say like Cybers because I expect it to be a warrior, and then it's a Psychic. So if it was Psychic level 3, but like, yeah, I can e-telly this out. But yeah, that is it for the deck profile. Really, really loved it. Quite a lot of fun to play around with. Very, very powerful. Definitely something to keep your eye on, because the issue of OTK and going second decks right now is you have to break your opponent's board. If you can't break your opponent's board, you're probably going to lose and you're going to struggle very, very hard. So I think the best thing that Crusaders do is they go, I don't care how big you make your board. I'm either going to Nibiru you, Super Poly you, I'm not going to worry about hand traps, I'm going to Kaiju your biggest monster, I'm then going to go straight into my Equamax, I'm going to beef him up like no tomorrow, and then I'm going to kill you. So I think that's the one difference that Crusaders have over other OTK decks. But, you know, we'll see how this deck kind of develops, how it goes further forward in the future, and just how this continues to go. But I hope you liked it. I hope it's given you a couple of ideas. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Get us closer to that 15,000 subscriber mark. We are slowly crawling towards it. And once we do, I'll do a massive celebratory kind of giveaway and obviously a special video for you guys as well. But I hope you like this. Give it a massive thumbs up if you did. Any questions about it, put it in the comments below. Any suggestions, again, put them down in the comments below. I'm always open to adapting this and trying to evolve it a little bit more. And working on all the other decks that I've got as well. But for now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. And as always, guys, happy dueling. What's up, YouTube? Dad here from All Games. Thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, please hit that big thumbs up button in the bottom corner as well. And don't forget to hit the big red subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. Make sure you click that notification bell as well so you know every time one of our new videos goes up. Throughout the whole year of 2019, we're going to have more deck profiles, duels, and of course pack openings for you guys to watch and enjoy the entire year round. So stay tuned for more, and as always guys, happy dueling.